So after 2 years of using DJI cameras, I'm making the switch to Insta360. In this video, I'm going to talk about all my reasoning for such a big move. But before I go any further, let me introduce myself. I'm Velvet Alfredo. I'm a street portrait photographer. I go out into the world and I find interesting and unique people and I snap their photos.
Well done. See ya. Bye-bye. Thank you.
And I'm obsessed with cameras. I love cameras. The camera you're watching right now, this is the Sony FX3. It's a great studio camera. I use it for all of my YouTube vlogs. But the camera that I use on the street, this is the Sony a7R5. This is like my favorite camera of all time. I use this for all my photography work. I don't really shoot a lot of video on it because I use smaller action cameras for video. The POV that I've become known for, what I use these days is the Ray-Ban Meta smart glasses. I love these things. I wear them on my head basically every single day. This is the clear lens one. I've taken the lenses out, and this is what I use to record all of my POV interactions with folks that I meet on the street. But often I need other things. I need like action cameras for vlogging or like, you know, other like social media content. And the DJI cameras were the ones to beat. I mean, everybody loves the DJI Action series and the DJI Pocket 3. Like these are two cameras that I used all the time. And I've got doubles of everything. I've got two pocket cameras here. I've got two Action 4s here. And I've enjoyed the Action 4s quite a bit. I mean, this is what I've used. I made a lot of videos about vlogging with these little guys. Chris Meets Chris has turned us all on to how great these little action cameras are for vlogging. But a couple things have changed over the last few months, and that has to do with the tariff situation and the fact that like DJI has had a very difficult time servicing their cameras in the United States. They recently discontinued DJI Care. DJI Care is kind of like their extended warranty program. I mean, if you buy a DJI Pocket 3, and anybody who's used these a lot knows that like this gimbal part right up here, they are incredibly fragile. So you buy DJI Care for, $30 to $40 per camera, and you get 2 years of protection. So if you break, you send them in and they get them fixed. The problem is that these days, DJI is having a very difficult time servicing these because they can't get the gear back in because they're having issues with customs and importing. And so it became really frustrating to me that I had to kind of like baby these things. And then the DJI Osmo 360 came out, and it was everywhere. It was on YouTube, people were demoing it, except in the United States, it was very, very difficult to find. It said a couple things to me. One was that like the United States was not going to be a big part of the DJI market going forward, at least in the foreseeable future, and that the DJI Osmo 360, it's actually pretty behind the times, that it doesn't have a removable lens so that if you scratch the DJI Osmo 360, you can't fix it. You have to send it in. And again, you just have this problem again of like, you can't get DJI Care in the United States anymore. So like that is a use it once and lose it kind of thing. And that's just not how I want to use my gear. I want my gear to be something that I don't think about. That's what I love about the a7R5. Like this camera is a rock. It is incredibly reliable, and I know that it's always going to be available. And I have Sony Pro Care on this. So if I ever break this camera, I send it in, I get a replacement while they're fixing it, and then I just swap them. And that's something that like if you're even remotely a professional in this space of content creation, that's a necessity. And the more I started thinking about this, the more I didn't want to pick these cameras up. I just didn't want to pick up the action cameras. I didn't want to pick up my Pocket 3, and I was like, I'll just use other stuff. And at the same time, the Insta360 cameras were getting more and more attractive. That this camera right here, this is the Insta360 Ace Pro 2. I just picked this up, and it's a blast for a few reasons. One is that this little flippy screen, it's given like RX100 vibes. Like the RX100 was a vlogging camera that kind of like launched YouTube. Like everybody had it, that and the Canon G7X. But like it has a little flippy screen and you could just like talk to yourself. And yes, the DJI Action series has a little screen in the front, but you don't see the whole image. You just see kind of like the center punch out. It's good for framing, but not good for like, how does the whole image look? And with this, I've been using this recently and I absolutely love it. And I was really blown away by that. That like this just feels like a more evolved version of what DJI is offering. That across the board, Insta360 is making this gear that is just like a generation or two in front of DJI. And that coupled with the tariff issues, the fact that they can't service these anymore really, or that at a minimum it's going to be a risk, that like DJI Care not being available to Americans anymore, I just felt like now was the time to get out because I've got a lot of these cameras. Other people love them. Like other people love this DJI Pocket 3 and I've got two of them and their price has increased recently because of the tariffs. And it's like, you know what? This should go to people who love it. So I'm selling all of this DJI gear because I want something I can trust. I want something that's reliable and honest to God, I've been enjoying these more. I've been watching all the Chris Meets Chris content with the Go Ultra, and I gotta say, like, I'm really intrigued because a POV camera is like right in my wheelhouse. Like POV cameras, I started my account on the Insta360 Go 3, the one you wear in the hat, and I'm interested to see how the Go Ultra fits into my workflow because I've slowed down on making videos because I don't know, there's just been like this block of like, I'm reluctant to use cameras that are gonna break. I know that sounds silly and it's definitely an excuse, but I found that as soon as I started playing with this, I was back in the game. And I was like, you know what? I want to start making content with this. So I ordered one. I've got a second one that arrives today with the Explorer grip, you know, that camera grip. I mean, I think that's really cool that you can shoot like, photos on these things with that specialized grip attachment. There's a guy on Instagram, Moto Shoot, I think is his name, but he shoots these like super shutter draggy photos. And he's been using the Insta360 Ace Pro 2 with the Explorer kit. And I was like, man, that sounds cool. I would really like to try that out. And I love these things. The Insta360 cameras, I gotta say, like if you're in the market for an action camera, which you know, they shouldn't be called action cameras anymore, by the way. These are mini cameras. You don't need to be snowboarding or skiing to use these cameras. It's just that they're rugged. Anybody who's used like a vlogging camera out in the real world knows that like these things get thrown around. And the fact that they have like an action camera lineage is fantastic. But the reality is that these things are just like small cameras these days. And that's what I love about them. I know that the Ace Pro 2 is kind of like at end of life, that there are rumors of an Ace Pro 3 coming out in October or November, and maybe even with a 1-inch sensor, because I think what makes the Pocket camera so good is that it has a 1-inch sensor. So you get a bit of background separation. The background's out of focus a little bit. With these action cameras, whether it's the Ace Pro 2 or the DJI Action series, everything is in focus. And I don't mind that anymore. I mean, I think Chris Meets Chris really got me over that hump of like, the background needs to be out of focus, and I don't think that's true anymore. But if they were to release an Ace Pro 3 with a 1-inch sensor where the background is out of focus, I mean, I surely would buy it. I think that would be super cool. I mean, that would truly be an RX 100 replacement. Tinier, more durable, more fun, longer battery, the whole nine. So like, I'm all in. I'm all in on Insta360. I think the gear that they're making these days is really, really fun. And don't even get me started on drones, because I recently had to buy a drone, let's say 3 months ago, and it was impossible to source. I had to like bend over backwards to try to like find it and get one. It wasn't even really the one I wanted. It was just the only one that was available. And you just can't find them anymore. You can't service them. And at the same exact time, Insta360 is coming out with their own anti-gravity line of drone cameras. And so it's like, you know what? I'm all in. Insta360 is the way to go. They seem to be avoiding the tariff customs issue that DJI is going through, and maybe DJI fixes it, and I'd be happy to get back in with DJI if they can solve that with some of their newer cameras. But as far as I'm concerned, you know, I was a huge advocate of the DJI Action series, but I'm just a consumer. Like, I shouldn't have to tolerate the fact that I can't get these serviced as easily, that DJI Care is not available in the States anymore. So all the content you see going forward is going to be off these Insta360 cameras and my Sony stuff. I am all in on Sony and Insta360. And I think that if you guys are trying to get into a new camera system, or if you're kind of debating this one versus that one, I don't even think it's a choice. Like, I wouldn't go near DJI right now until they sort out the issues they have with the United States government, because you need to be able to service these things reliably. You need to be able to buy them reliably. If your professional gear breaks, I want to be able to buy it on Amazon same day. I want to be able to go to Best Buy and get it. And I dare you, go to Best Buy in the United States right now, find a DJI camera. You won't be able to do it. But I walked right into Best Buy and I got one of these no problem. And so, like, I think, that's life. You got to make choices. And I just wanted to make this video because I think a lot of folks like me are out there. They're wanting to get in. They see content creators like Chris Meets Chris, and they see people like me who, in the past, I've made these videos about the DJI Action series. And so you might take my word for it and try to buy a DJI Action camera. But the reality is you shouldn't. Not anymore. And a lot has changed since I made those videos in the beginning of the summer. So Insta360 all the way. I hope you folks enjoyed this. I'm going to be making a lot more videos. I feel like I'm back, right? I'm back making content on the regular. And it's thanks to Insta360. And by the way, they didn't, like I said, I bought this. They didn't sponsor me. They don't sponsor me. But I love them. I love them. So that's where we're at. If you folks like this video, make sure to hit me with a like and a subscribe and all the things, because I'd love to make more content with you. I'd love to have you folks here. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time.